The great hall on Nexus Prime buzzed with quiet conversation. 7 different alien species sat around the massive circular table, each representing billions of lives across the galaxy. Ambassador Kethfor of the Zephyrian Empire tapped his long fingers on the smooth metal surface, waiting for the meeting to begin. The Galactic Council had kept peace for 3,000 years. Wars were things of the past, remembered only in history books. Trade flowed freely between worlds, and conflicts were solved with words, not weapons. It was a good time to be alive in the galaxy. Admiral Veltar of the Concordance Navy stood up. His blue skin gleamed under the bright lights. "We have new business today," he said in his deep voice. "A species from the Outer Rim wants to join us. They call themselves humans." The other council members looked interested, but not surprised. New species joined the galactic community every few decades. Most were eager to learn and trade with the older civilizations. The process was always the same: first contact, cultural exchange, then full membership. "Where are they from?" asked Captain Zorthek, his 4 eyes blinking slowly. The hegemony officer was known for asking good questions. "A small system called Sol," Veltar replied. "3rd planet from their star. They call it Earth. Our scouts say it's mostly water with some land masses." Counselor Rixta leaned forward. Her insect-like features made it hard to read her expressions, but her voice sounded curious. "What do we know about their technology?" Veltar pulled up a holographic display. Images of crude spaceships appeared in the air above the table. They achieved faster-than-light travel only recently. Maybe 50 years ago. Their ships are ... basic, functional, but nothing special. The council members studied the images. The human ships looked rough compared to the smooth, elegant vessels the galaxy was used to. They seemed to be built for function rather than beauty. "What about their military?" Zorthik asked. "Very limited," Veltar said. "They claim to have only small defense forces, mostly for keeping peace on their own worlds. Nothing that could threaten anyone else." This was normal. Most species had small militaries by the time they reached space. There was no need for large armies when everyone got along. The galaxy's combined fleet was more than enough to handle the rare pirate or smuggler. "Have we met with them directly?" asked Counselor Wexmar. "Yes," Veltar nodded. "Their diplomatic team has been here for 6 months. Ambassador John Carter and his assistant, Lisa Murphy. Very polite people. They seem eager to learn about our ways." Kethfor remembered meeting the humans. Carter was a middle-aged man with gray hair and friendly eyes. He asked many questions about galactic history and law. Murphy was younger, always taking notes on a small device. Both seemed harmless enough. "They've been studying our culture," Veltar continued. "Learning our languages, understanding our trade systems, standard procedure for new members." The Admiral brought up more images. These showed human cities and technology. Everything looked primitive, but clean. The humans appeared to take care of their world, which was always a good sign. "Population?" asked Rixta. "About 8 billion on their home world. Several colonies in nearby systems, but small ones. Total human population is maybe 10 billion. This was tiny compared to the major galactic powers. The Zephyrian Empire alone had over 1 trillion citizens spread across hundreds of worlds. 10 billion humans were barely worth noticing in galactic terms. What do they want from us? Zorthik's question was practical. The usual, Veltar shrugged. Trade agreements, technology sharing, protection under galactic law. They're particularly interested in our medical knowledge and faster communication systems. Counselor Wexmar made a note on his tablet. Any concerns about their integration? None, Veltar said firmly. They seem peaceful. No history of major wars in recent centuries. Their biggest conflicts were small territorial disputes that ended decades ago. Classic post-warfare civilization. They learned that fighting doesn't solve problems. This pattern was common among species joining the galaxy. Most went through a violent phase early in their development, then grew beyond it as they matured. The galaxy was full of former warrior races who now preferred art and trade to battle. Cultural compatibility? Asked Rixta. High, Veltar replied. They value individual freedom, but also work well in groups. They have concepts of law and justice that match ours fairly well. Some differences in art and music, but nothing major. Kethver thought about his conversations with Ambassador Carter. The human had been very interested in how the Galactic Council worked. He asked detailed questions about voting procedures, military command structures, and emergency protocols. All normal curiosity for a new member species. Timeline for full membership? Wexmar wanted to know. I suggest we proceed with the formal welcome ceremony next month, Veltar said. They've completed all the requirements. Cultural assessment, technology review, diplomatic protocols. Everything checks out. But council members looked around the table. No one seemed to have any objections. Adding humans to the galactic community would be routine. Any final concerns? Kethver asked. Captain Zorthik raised one hand. There are some gaps in their military data. When we asked for complete fleet inventories, they said much of it was classified for security reasons. Veltar waved this off. Understandable. Most species are nervous about sharing military secrets until they're full members. Once they join us officially, they'll be more open. Still, Zorthik pressed, don't you think it's odd? Even the smallest. Species usually give us basic ship counts and weapon types. They told us what matters, Veltar said. Small defensive fleet, no major weapons, focused on peacekeeping. What more do we need to know? Kethver considered this. The humans had been somewhat secretive about their military, but new species were often paranoid about stronger neighbors. Once they realized the galaxy was truly peaceful, they usually relaxed. I motion to approve human membership, Counselor Rixta said. Full integration ceremony in 30 standard days. Seconded, said Wexmar. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would officially join the galactic community in 1 month. It would be another routine expansion of their peaceful civilization. As the council members left the Great Hall, none of them noticed the small device hidden in the corner. It had been recording every word of their meeting. The data was already being transmitted to a ship at the edge of the system, where Ambassador Carter was preparing his real report for Earth. The galaxy thought it was welcoming another peaceful species into its family. It had no idea that humanity had been studying them with the cold efficiency of predators examining prey. The humans had learned everything they needed to know about galactic civilization. Soon, the galaxy would learn something about humanity in return. Ambassador John Carter stood in the small meeting room aboard the human ship HSV Messenger. The vessel looked crude from the outside, just like the aliens expected. Inside, it was a different story. Hidden behind false walls were the most advanced sensors and computers humanity had ever built. Carter was not really a diplomat. He was Colonel John Carter, one of Earth's best intelligence officers. For 6 months, he had played the role of a friendly ambassador while his team gathered every piece of information they could about galactic civilization. Report, Carter said to the 2 people sitting at the metal table. Colonel Jake Morrison opened his tablet. He was a big man with short black hair and serious eyes. The aliens are exactly what we thought. Soft, weak. They haven't fought a real war in 3,000 years. Lieutenant Amy Foster nodded. She was young but very smart. Her job was to study alien technology and find weaknesses. Their military ships are jokes, built for show, not for fighting. Most of them don't even carry real weapons. Carter smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Details. Morrison pulled up holographic displays. Images of alien warships appeared in the air. The Concordance Navy has the biggest fleet. About 200 ships spread across 50 systems. Sounds impressive until you look at the specs. The images zoomed in on weapon systems. Foster pointed to various parts of the ships. These are energy weapons designed for disabling, not destroying. They're meant to stop pirates and smugglers, not fight wars. A single human destroyer could take on 5 of their battleships. What about their shields? Carter asked. Defensive only, Foster replied. Strong enough to stop asteroids and small. Weapons. They would barely slow down our kinetic rounds. Carter nodded. The aliens had never needed to build real warships. They lived in a peaceful galaxy where the biggest threat was the occasional criminal. They had no idea what weapons designed for actual warfare could do. Intelligence gathering? Carter asked. Morrison switched to another display. Complete success. We've mapped their communication networks, identified command structures, and downloaded most of their military databases. They never suspected a thing. This had been the real purpose of the diplomatic mission. While Carter asked polite questions about galactic culture, his team had been hacking alien computers. The friendly meetings and cultural exchanges were just cover for the biggest intelligence operation in human history. They think we're primitive, Foster said with amusement. Their technology looks advanced, but it's all for comfort and efficiency. They've never had to build anything for war. Carter thought about his conversations with the Galactic Council. Admiral Veltar had been so condescending, explaining basic concepts as if humans were children. The alien had no idea that human technology was centuries ahead in the areas that mattered. Status report from home? Carter asked. Morrison's expression became more serious. Admiral Rodriguez confirms the Retribution is ready for deployment. Final systems check completed yesterday. All weapons online. Carter felt a surge of pride. The UES Retribution was humanity's greatest achievement. Built in secret over the past 20 years, it represented everything humans have learned about warfare. The galaxy was about to get a very unpleasant surprise. Crew status? 2,000 of our best, Morrison replied. Captain Turner is eager to begin. The crew has been training for this mission for 5 years. Carter remembered Captain Alex Turner. From their last meeting on Earth, the man was a veteran of humanity's colonial wars, experienced in fighting against overwhelming odds. If anyone could handle first contact with hostile aliens, it was Turner. Weapon systems? Foster's eyes lit up. She loved talking about human military technology. The kinetic batteries can punch through any known alien armor. The plasma lances will cut their ships in half, and the Newton's fury. She paused for effect. Well, let's just say the aliens have never seen weaponized gravity. Carter smiled again. The Newton's fury was humanity's secret weapon. It used artificial gravity fields to literally tear enemy ships apart. The aliens wouldn't even understand what was happening to them. What about their response capabilities? Carter asked. Morrison brought up tactical displays. Pathetic. Their largest fleet has 500 ships, but they're spread across the galaxy. It would take weeks to gather them in one place. By then, we could destroy their major military bases. And their weapons? Energy-based, short-range, low power, Foster said dismissively. Designed to disable, not destroy. They haven't built a real weapon in 1,000 years. Carter studied the data. The aliens were sheep pretending to be wolves. They had ruled the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten what real predators looked like. They were about to be reminded. Timeline? The Retribution jumps tomorrow, Morrison said. Transit time to Nexus Prime is 72 hours. Captain Turner will arrive just as the Galactic Council is preparing our welcome ceremony. The irony was perfect. The aliens thought they were welcoming a new member to their peaceful community. Instead, they were about to meet the apex predator of the galaxy. Orders from command? Carter asked. Morrison's voice became formal. Establish human dominance through superior firepower. Minimize casualties, but make it clear that humanity will not be treated as a junior partner. The galaxy needs to understand that we are equals, not subjects. Carter nodded. This was the plan they had worked on for decades. Humanity would not repeat the mistakes of Earth's past, where strong nations bullied weaker ones. But they also would not allow themselves to be patronized or controlled by aliens who mistook their own weakness for wisdom. Personal weapons? Each crew member carries standard military equipment, Foster said. Body armor, energy weapons, combat implants. The aliens don't even have personal shields. A single human marine could fight through their entire security. Force. This was another advantage humans had never mentioned. Every human in space was essentially a super soldier compared to the aliens. Centuries of genetic enhancement and cybernetic implants had made them faster, stronger, and smarter than any species the galaxy had encountered. Communication protocols? Captain Turner will handle first contact, Morrison said. He has full authority to respond as he sees fit. Command trusts his judgment. Carter respected that decision. Turner knew how to project strength without being needlessly cruel. The goal was to establish respect, not create enemies. What about the other alien species? Foster pulled up intelligence files. The hegemony will probably try to fight. They're the most militaristic, even though their military is useless. The concordance will try to negotiate. The smaller species will probably just hide and wait to see who wins. Expected casualties? Minimal on our side, Morrison said confidently. Unknown on theirs. Depends on how stupid they are. Carter hoped the aliens would be smart enough to surrender quickly. Humans preferred to win without unnecessary killing. But if the aliens forced a fight, humanity was ready to show them what 3,000 years of peace had cost them. Any final concerns? Foster looked thoughtful. There's always a chance they have secret weapons we don't know about. Some hidden military technology they've kept back. Morrison shook his head, doubtful. We've been watching them for 6 months. Their entire civilization is built around the idea that violence is obsolete. They don't even have the concept of modern warfare, Carter agreed. The aliens lived in a fantasy world where everyone played by the same peaceful rules. They were about to learn that the universe was much more dangerous than they realized. Gentleman, lady, Carter said formally, in 72 hours, the galaxy changes forever. The age of alien dominance ends. The age of human expansion begins. Morrison and Foster nodded grimly. They had spent their entire careers preparing for this moment. Humanity had been underestimated for the last time as the three intelligence. Officers reviewed their final preparations. None of them felt guilty about the deception. The aliens had assumed they were dealing with primitive humans who needed guidance and protection. They were about to discover that humanity had never needed protection from anyone. The galaxy was about to meet its new masters. Technician Rilmoth was having a boring day at the Deep Space Monitoring Station. He stared at the sensor displays, watching the usual traffic around Nexus Prime. Cargo ships, passenger vessels, and the occasional patrol craft moved slowly through. Space. Nothing interesting ever happened at the edge of the system. Then his sensors started screaming. The display lit up with warning signals. Energy readings spiked beyond anything Rilmoth had ever seen. He checked his instruments twice, certain. There was a malfunction. The readings showed something massive approaching through hyperspace. Supervisor, Rilmoth called across the control room. I'm getting impossible readings on long-range sensors. Supervisor Kex Dahl walked over, her tentacles swishing with annoyance. What kind of impossible? Energy signature, approaching from hyperspace. The computer says it's a ship, but the size readings are ... He paused, checking again. 2 kilometers long. Kexdal's 4 eyes narrowed. Run diagnostics. That's obviously a sensor error. But the diagnostics came back clean. The sensors were working perfectly. Something huge was coming toward Nexus Prime, and it would arrive in minutes. Send an alert to system defense, Kexdal ordered. Unknown vessel approaching. Possible emergency. As she spoke, space itself seemed to tear open near the outer edge of the system. A massive shape dropped out of hyperspace in a burst of twisted light and energy. The UES Retribution had arrived. The alien monitoring station went silent as ever. Technicians stared at their displays. The ship was enormous, larger than anything in their databases. Its hull was dark metal, covered with structures they couldn't identify. Energy readings showed it was powered by something far beyond galactic technology. By the void, Kexdal whispered. What is that thing? On board the Retribution, Captain Alex Turner stood on his bridge, watching the alien system spread out before him. His ship was humanity's masterpiece, built from the hard lessons of centuries of warfare. Every surface bristled with weapons. Every system was designed for battle. Status report, Turner said calmly. All systems green, replied his executive officer, Commander Kate Williams. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a mind like a computer. Weapons powered, shields up, sensors scanning. Enemy positions? 16 alien vessels in system. Mostly civilian traffic. 3 patrol ships, classification unknown. No immediate threats detected. Turner nodded. The aliens were exactly where human intelligence said they would be. Predictable, complacent, weak. Open communications, Turner ordered. All frequencies. The ship's artificial intelligence, Oracle, spoke in its calm electronic voice. Communication channels open, Captain. Broadcasting on all known alien frequencies. Turner's voice went out. Across the system, reaching every ship and station within light minutes of Nexus Prime. This is Captain Alex Turner of the United Earthship Retribution, representing the Terran Federation. We have come to establish formal relations with the Galactic Council. The response from the aliens was chaos. Emergency signals filled the communication channels. Ships that had been moving calmly through space suddenly changed course. Some fleeing toward the outer system, others racing toward Nexus Prime to report what they had seen. On the planet's surface, the Galactic Council was meeting for humanity's welcome ceremony. They had prepared speeches and gifts for their new members. Instead, they received frantic reports of a massive alien warship that had appeared without warning. Admiral Valtar rushed to the council chambers, his blue skin pale with shock. We have a situation. A human vessel has entered the system. It's larger than anything we've ever seen. Ambassador Keffer looked confused. The humans? But they said they only had small ships. This isn't small, Valtar said grimly. It's 2 kilometers long and armed with weapons we can't identify. In space, the alien patrol ships moved to intercept the Retribution. They were tiny compared to the human dreadnought, like insects approaching a predator. The lead ship CNS. Harmony opened communications. Unknown vessel, you are entering restricted space. Identify yourself and submit to inspection. Captain Turner almost smiled. The alien captain sounded like he was giving orders to a cargo hauler. He had no idea what he was facing. This is Captain Turner. We are here by invitation of the Galactic Council. We do not submit to inspection. All vessels must comply with galactic military protocols, the alien captain insisted. Heave to and prepare to be boarded. Turner looked at Commander Williams. Your assessment of their capabilities? Williams checked her displays. 3 light. Patrol vessels. Energy weapons. Minimal armor. No significant shielding. Each ship has maybe 40 crew members. Threat level? 0. Turner opened communications again. Galactic patrol vessels. This is your only warning. We are proceeding to Nexus Prime. Do not interfere. The alien captain's response was to power up his weapons. The other patrol ships followed his lead. 3 small alien vessels prepared to fight the largest warship ever built. They're targeting us, Williams reported. Energy weapons charging. Turner sighed. The aliens were going to learn the hard way. Defensive systems only. Disable their weapons, but don't destroy them. Understood. The alien ships opened fire. Their energy beams struck the Retribution's shields and simply disappeared. The human ship's defensive systems were designed to stop weapons the aliens couldn't. Even imagine. The patrol craft might as well have been throwing rocks. Return fire, Turner ordered. Point defense systems only. The Retribution's smallest weapons activated. Streams of accelerated particles reached out across space, moving at a significant fraction of light speed. They struck the alien ships with surgical precision, destroying weapon systems and engines, while leaving the crew compartments intact in seconds. All 3 patrol vessels were drifting helplessly. Their weapons were gone, their engines dead, but their crews were alive. It was a demonstration of overwhelming superiority delivered with clinical precision. Medical teams stand by, Turner ordered. Send rescue shuttles if needed. He opened communications to the disabled ships. Galactic patrol vessels, your crews are safe. We will provide assistance if required. This was a demonstration, not an attack. The alien captain's voice was shaky when he responded. What did you do to us? We removed your ability to threaten us, Turner said simply. Consider it a lesson in galactic politics. On Nexus Prime, the council members watched the brief engagement with growing horror. Their patrol ships had been swatted aside like toys. The humans possessed technology that made the galactic military obsolete. Get me every ship in the system, Admiral Valtar ordered. All vessels converge on the human ship. Full military alert. But Turner wasn't finished with his demonstration. As more alien ships moved toward him, he selected a small asteroid drifting near the edge of the system. It was roughly the size of a city block, composed of rock and metal. Oracle. Target. The asteroid at coordinates 247.6 by 185.3. Single kinetic round. Target acquired, the AI replied. Firing. One of the Retribution's kinetic weapons activated. A metal slug the size of a telephone pole accelerated to 10% of light speed. It crossed the system in seconds and struck the asteroid dead. Centered out the rock simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was expanding cloud of superheated plasma. The energy release lit-up sensor displays across the system like a miniature star. Every alien in the system saw the flash. Every sensor recorded the impossible energy output. The humans had just demonstrated the ability to destroy anything they chose with casual ease. Turner's voice broadcast across all frequencies. That was one round from our smallest kinetic weapon. We have larger ones. We also have plasma weapons, particle beams, and gravitational manipulators. We come in peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. The alien ships stopped moving. Toward the Retribution, several began backing away. The message was clear. Approaching the human ship would be suicide. On the planet, Ambassador Kethver stared at the sensor readings. They vaporized an asteroid with a single shot. Energy output equivalent to our largest fusion bombs, Admiral Veltar said quietly, and they called it their smallest weapon. The council members looked at each other in growing fear. For 3,000 years, they had ruled the galaxy through consensus and cooperation. They had never faced a species that could simply ignore their authority. "What do we do?" asked Counselor Rixta. "We talk," Kethver said, "and we hope they're willing to listen." In space, the UES Retribution continued its stately approach to Nexus Prime. Its weapons were powered down but ready. Its shields glowed with contained energy. Every alien in the system could see it coming, massive and terrible, an unstoppable. Captain Turner stood on his bridge, satisfied with the opening moves. The aliens now understood that humanity was not asking for permission to join their civilization. They were announcing their arrival as equals. The galaxy would never be the same. Emergency meetings were happening across the galaxy. On every major world, military leaders and scientists studied the data from Nexus Prime. The numbers were impossible, but the evidence was clear. Humanity possessed weapons that could destroy. Entire fleets. Dr. Quintal of the Hegemony's Research Division stared at the readings from the human demonstration. He had spent his life studying physics, and what he saw violated everything he thought he knew about technology. The kinetic weapon reached 10% of light speed, he told the assembled military leaders. The energy required for that acceleration is beyond our current understanding. Their power systems must be incredibly advanced. General Urkath slammed his fist on the table. The Hegemony had the strongest military in the galaxy, and he wasn't about to let some upstart species threaten their authority. "I don't care how advanced they are. They're still just one ship that destroyed our patrol vessels without taking damage," Admiral Veltar pointed out via hologram. He was broadcasting from Nexus Prime, where the human dreadnought continued its approach to the planet. "Because they caught us by surprise," Urkath growled. "If we mass our fleets, we can overwhelm them with numbers." Dr. Quintal shook his head. "You don't understand. Their defensive systems absorbed our energy weapons without any visible effect. Their shields are operating on principles we haven't discovered." But Burkath wasn't listening. He was already sending orders across the galaxy. Every military ship in Hegemony space received the same message: converge on Nexus Prime immediately. The largest fleet in galactic history was being assembled. Captain Zor Thek received the orders aboard his flagship, the Hegemony battleship Dominator. He felt both excited and nervous. Excited because this would be the first real military action in centuries. Nervous because the human ship had demonstrated capabilities that worried him. "How many ships?" he asked his communications officer. 537 confirmed, the officer replied, "including 43 battleships, 96 cruisers, and the rest destroyers and frigates." Zorthik nodded. It was the most powerful fleet ever assembled. Surely no single ship could stand against such numbers, no matter how advanced. On the UES Retribution, Captain Turner watched the alien fleet gathering on long-range sensors. Ships were jumping into the system from every direction, taking positions around his vessel. "Count?" he asked Commander Williams. 541 alien vessels and rising, she reported. "They're surrounding us at maximum weapons range." Turner studied the tactical display. The aliens were being smart, staying far enough away to avoid his point defense systems while keeping him boxed in. It was a good strategy against a conventional enemy. Assessment? Williams ran the numbers through the ship's computers. If they all attack simultaneously, they could potentially overload our shields through sheer volume of fire. But their weapons would have to penetrate our defensive barriers first. Casualties if we engage? Depends on their intelligence. If they're smart enough to surrender when they realize they can't win, minimal losses. If they keep fighting. She paused. Total. Turner opened a communication channel to Admiral Rodriguez back on Earth. The quantum communication system allowed instant contact across any distance. Admiral, we have a situation. The aliens have assembled a major fleet. 500 ships. And counting. Rodriguez's voice was calm despite the seriousness. Your assessment, Captain? They're trying to intimidate us through numbers. Standard pack behavior when facing a superior predator. Rules of engagement: defend the ship and crew. Minimize casualties, but make it clear that resistance is futile. Understood. You have full authority to respond as needed. Turner closed the channel and turned to his crew. These were humanity's best warriors, veterans of colonial conflicts and system defense. They had trained for this moment their entire careers. All hands, this is the captain, Turner announced shipwide. We are about to engage a numerically superior enemy. Remember your training. Stay calm, follow orders, and show them what human military doctrine looks like. In the alien fleet, Captain Zorthik was trying to coordinate the attack. Ships from 7 different species were struggling to work together. Their communication systems weren't compatible. Their tactics were different. And many crews had never worked with other species before. Form attack formations, Zorthik ordered. Concentrate fire on their shield generators. It took nearly an hour to get the massive fleet organized. The human ship waited patiently, making no aggressive moves. To the aliens, this looked like fear. They had no idea that Turner was simply giving them time to make their mistake. Admiral Veltar's voice crackled over the communication system. Human vessel, you are surrounded. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Turner's response was broadcast to every ship in the fleet. Admiral, you are making a serious error. We have no desire to harm you, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. You cannot fight us all, Veltar insisted. Surrender now, and we will treat you with respect. Turner looked at Commander Williams. Power up all weapon systems. Full defensive screens. Combat alert. Alarms sounded throughout the Retribution as the ship prepared for battle. Every human aboard knew what was coming. The aliens were about to learn why humanity had never been conquered. All weapons online, Williams reported. Shields at maximum. Point defense active. The alien fleet began its attack. 500 ships opened fire simultaneously, sending streams of energy toward the human dreadnought. The space around the Retribution lit up with weapon fire as every alien in the system tried to destroy the single human vessel. The energy beams struck the Retribution's shields and simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive systems the aliens couldn't understand. The ship didn't even shake from the impact. Their weapons are having no effect, Williams reported, sounding almost disappointed. Shield strength holding at 100%. Return fire, Turner ordered. Surgical strikes. Disable their weapons and engines, but leave crew quarters intact. The Retribution's point defense systems came online. Hundreds of small turrets tracked individual alien ships, firing streams of accelerated particles with computer precision. Each shot was perfectly aimed, striking weapon systems and drive units while avoiding crew areas. The alien fleet began dying. Ships throughout the formation suddenly went dark as their weapons and engines were destroyed. Within minutes, dozens of vessels were drifting helplessly. Concentrate fire on the human ship, Zorthik screamed into his communicator. All ships, maximum power, but it was useless. The remaining alien vessels poured everything they had into the attack, and the human ship ignored it all. The Retributions. Shields didn't even flicker as hundreds of energy weapons struck them. Turner decided it was time to end the demonstration. Main batteries. Select targets. Destroy one ship from each species. Make it dramatic. The Retribution's heavy weapons activated for the first time. Massive plasma cannons swiveled toward selected targets, each one larger than most alien vessels. When they fired, The results were spectacular. The chosen ships simply evaporated. One moment they were there, the next they were expanding clouds of superheated gas. The energy release from each shot was visible across the system. The alien fleet stopped firing. Every crew member watched in horror as their most advanced warships were reduced to nothing in seconds. The humans weren't just winning, they were playing with their enemies. "This is Captain Turner." His voice broadcast to every surviving alien ship. "We have demonstrated our superiority. Continue this attack, and we will be forced to destroy. You all, withdraw now, and we will provide medical assistance to your damaged vessels." Captain Zorthik stared at his tactical display. Half his fleet was disabled or destroyed. The human ship showed no damage at all. It had been a massacre, not a battle. "All ships," he said quietly, "cease fire. Withdraw to minimum safe distance." The alien fleet began retreating, leaving behind the wreckage of their pride and dozens of disabled ships. The largest military force in galactic history had been defeated by a single human vessel in less than 20 minutes. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council watched in stunned silence as their great fleet was scattered like leaves in a storm. The humans had held back, showing mercy when they could have shown annihilation. "Send rescue ships to assist the damaged vessels," Admiral Veltar ordered. His voice sounded hollow. Everything he had believed about galactic military power had been proven wrong. Turner opened communications to the planet. "Galactic Council, this demonstration is complete. We came seeking partnership, not conquest, but we will not be threatened or bullied. If you wish to discuss terms, we are prepared to negotiate as equals." Ambassador Kethver stood in the council chambers, looking at the tactical displays showing the scattered remains of their fleet. The age of galactic dominance was over. Humanity had arrived, and they had rewritten the rules of power in a single afternoon. The galaxy would have to learn to live with its new reality. The humans were not going away, and they would not be controlled. The only question now was whether the older species were wise enough to accept partnership instead of demanding submission. In space, the UES Retribution continued its approach. To Nexus Prime, its weapons powered down but ready. Captain Turner had delivered his message clearly. Human it. 3 days after the battle, emergency sessions were happening on every major world in the galaxy. The defeat of the combined fleet had sent shockwaves through civilizations that had known only peace for thousands of years. Leaders who had never seen real warfare were trying to understand what had happened. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council met in a chamber that felt much smaller than before. The holographic display in the center showed the UES Retribution, still hanging in orbit above their world like a metal moon. Its presence was a constant reminder that everything had changed. Ambassador Kethver looked around the table at his fellow council members. Fear was written on every face, regardless of species. They had ruled the galaxy through cooperation and consensus. Now they faced a species that ruled through strength. "We need to discuss terms," Kethver said quietly. "The humans are waiting for our response." Admiral Veltar had aged years in the past 3 days. His normally confident demeanor was gone, replaced by the hollow look of a military leader who had watched his entire fleet become useless. "What terms can we possibly offer? They could destroy us all if they wanted, but they didn't," pointed out Counselor Rigsta. "They could have killed thousands of our people. Instead, they disabled our ships and offered medical assistance." This was true. Human rescue shuttles had been working around the clock to help damaged alien vessels. Their medical technology was as advanced as their weapons, healing injuries that alien doctors couldn't treat. It was another demonstration of superiority, delivered with kindness instead of cruelty. "They want to negotiate," said Counselor Wexmar. "Captain Turner has requested a formal meeting." He says humanity seeks partnership, not conquest. The Council members considered this. Partnership implied equality, something they had never offered to new species before. Usually, newcomers spent decades proving themselves worthy of full membership. The humans had skipped that process entirely. "What choice do we have?" asked Captain Zorthik via hologram. He was still aboard his damaged flagship, overseeing repairs. "We can either treat them as equals or watch them take whatever they want." New voice joined the conversation. "Perhaps that's not such a bad thing." Everyone turned to look at Ambassador John Carter, who had just entered the chamber. The human diplomat looked different now. Gone was the friendly, slightly confused expression he had worn for months. In its place was the confident bearing of someone who held all the cards. "Ambassador Carter," Kethver said carefully, "we were just discussing the situation." "I know," Carter replied, taking his seat at the table. "I've been monitoring your communications." Another gift of human technology. The alien council members exchanged glances. How long had the humans been listening to their private conversations? How much did they really know about galactic civilization? Carter seemed to read their thoughts. "We've been studying you for 6 months. We know your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears, and your dreams. We know which species are natural allies and which ones will resist change." "You've been spying on us," Admiral Veltar said accusingly. "We've been gathering intelligence," Carter corrected. "Just like any responsible government would do before making contact with unknown civilizations. The fact that your security was so easy to penetrate is not our fault." Counselor Rixta leaned forward. "What do you want from us?" Carter's expression softened slightly. "The same thing we've always wanted. Trade, technology exchange, mutual defense agreements. The difference is that now we're negotiating from a position of strength instead of weakness." "You lied to us," Kethver said. "You told us you were a peaceful species with minimal military forces." "We told you what you expected to hear," Carter replied. "You assumed that because we were new to space travel, we must be primitive. You never asked the right questions." This was painfully true. The galactic species had become so used to their own superiority that they never considered the possibility that a new species might be more advanced in critical areas. "What happens now?" asked Wexmar. Carter pulled out a data tablet and placed it on the table. "Now we rewrite the rules. The galaxy has been run by committee for 3,000 years. That ends today." The tablet projected a holographic document into the air above the table. It was a new charter for galactic governance, written in simple terms that left no room for misunderstanding. "Humanity will be granted immediate full membership in the Galactic Council," Carter began reading. "All existing trade agreements will be renegotiated to include human participation. Military matters will be handled jointly between human and galactic forces." The alien council members studied the document with growing alarm. It wasn't a request for membership. It was a demand for partnership. "This gives humanity equal voice in all decisions," Veltar protested. "You're one species among 7. How? Is that fair?" Carter smiled. "Fair has nothing to do with it, Admiral. This is about reality. We have the strongest military in the galaxy. We have technology you can't match. We have resources you need. We're not asking for equal treatment. We're taking it." "And if we refuse?" asked Zorthik. "Then you'll discover that the UES Retribution has 6 sister ships," Carter said calmly. "Each one capable of defeating your entire combined fleet. We prefer cooperation, but we're prepared for resistance." The chamber fell silent. 7 more ships like the Retribution would make human dominance absolute. The galaxy would become a human empire in everything but name. "However," Carter continued, "we're not interested in conquest. We want partners, not subjects. Species that work with us will prosper. Those that fight us will be removed from power and replaced with more reasonable leaders. Kethvar felt the weight of history pressing down on him. In one afternoon, the balance of galactic power had shifted completely. The old order was dying, and something new was being born. What guarantees do we have? He asked. How do we know? You won't simply take over once we sign this agreement? Carter's expression became serious. Because humanity learned something from our own history that you never had to learn. Empires built on force alone don't last. We need willing partners, not conquered slaves. He gestured toward the document. This charter protects your rights as much as it establishes ours. We're offering you a chance to be part of something bigger than what you had before. Counselor Rixta studied the terms. Despite her fear, she had to admit they were surprisingly fair. Humanity was demanding equal status, not superior position. They wanted partnership, not domination. We need time to consider this, she said. You have 24 hours, Carter replied. After that, we'll assume you've chosen resistance over cooperation. As the human ambassador left the chamber, the alien council members sat in stunned silence. Everything they had built over 3 millennia was ending. The question was whether what replaced it would be better or worse. On the UES Retribution, Captain Turner stood in his ready room talking to Admiral Rodriguez via quantum communication. The conversation was going well. The aliens are considering our terms, Turner reported. I expect most of them will accept within the day. And those that don't? Rodriguez asked. We'll deal with them as necessary. But I think they're smarter than that. They've seen what resistance costs. As Turner ended the communication, he looked out at the stars through his viewport. Humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars for centuries. Now they were here, and they had announced their arrival in terms the galaxy couldn't ignore. The age of human expansion had begun. And this time, humanity would not be the junior partner in anyone's empire. Commander Williams entered the ready room with a data pad. Sir, we're receiving surrender. Acceptance messages from several alien governments. It looks like most of them are choosing cooperation. Turner nodded. It was the smart choice. Humanity offered partnership and prosperity to those wise enough to accept it. For those foolish enough to resist, humanity offered something else entirely. The galaxy was learning to live with its new reality. And for the first time in human history, that reality was one where humanity held the power to shape its own destiny among the stars.